Gentlemen, welcome aboard for this tonight. And I guess the big thing that's come out this week is Skeleton Crew for Star Wars. And I guess I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it. I'm going to shut up and just let you guys give us your opinions. And I'm not even going to say which order you have to go in. So just have at it.
But you better be kind and courteous and let the person go first that you think should. So, if it ends up being silent, that's fine too.
I thought it was kind of boring, really.
Okay.
All right. Good stuff.
I
did get bored.
I knew there was going to be some positivity, so I just wanted to ruin it first. So,
that's the way. It's the British way.
I'm saying it's mostly boring. The characters are kind of flat. It's pretty predictable. I didn't like anyone. I mean, and the pacing was incredibly slow. Like the entire first episode, most of it's filler. So it's fine, but it's just I thought it was pretty boring.
It feels like another one of those shows that was one meeting would have just written the whole show. Like it's just a boardroom together. We need pirates, we need a Jedi, we need this, that. There's the show. Let's go. Didn't seem there was a lot of thought put into it.
Wasn't it supposed to be a movie and they turned it into a TV show? I heard. Either way, I was prepared to hate it. I rather enjoyed it. I liked all the kids. Whim was me growing up. I, too, played with lightsabers and wanted to be a Jedi. And when it ended, I wanted the third episode. And I haven't said that about many of their series. I think it's just an inoffensive movie. Like, it snuck in. John Watson, this Christopher Ford. And I don't know. I want to see the Treasure Planet and the Old Republic stuff. I'm interested.
What about the smug girl? Did you like her?
Fern, who I just took as a classical tomboy. Yes, I did actually like her. And I think she's pretending.
I've got a few things to say about that character, and I'll let you guys go first.
I might as well call it Arthur Fonzarelli.
Or Charlie Sheen from,
Yes.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah. There's a lot of Tom in that tomboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think you hit it on the head, Robot Head. I think it's very simple, not much thought put into it, and I think that's what makes it kind of just laid back and fun, kind of like, you don't have to think about it too much. Just a bunch of kids going on some adventure. It hits on those nostalgic beats and kind of reminds you of when you did have the magic of Star Wars in your heart, and you want to find the spaceship in the forest and blast off into some unknown adventure. And it's pretty lighthearted, nothing to think about. I think it's pretty fun so far.
It's always so loaded too, because if we had great sequels and we were seeing great films, once every 2 years at the cinema or something, this would be just such a fun little kids show that we probably wouldn't even be talking about. But everything's so loaded now because we've just come off the Acolyte, so fucking just putting a poster on screen would be better than sitting through the Acolyte again. So it's such a loaded conversation where a simple little show like this should be allowed to just exist without even really discussing it. My morning voice.
That's the thing. No, totally agree. That's the thing. But it's like, because they've shit on us so many times with these shows, everyone is just almost like, fuck off with literally everything they make. It could be even half decent or, like a kid's show. It's like, whatever, who cares? But it's going to be like, no, you guys took too much of the piss, as you Brits say.
Give some of the piss back.
You took too much of the piss.
You guys are taking the piss, man.
That's a variation I've never heard.
Give me a little bit of that.
You took too much of it, man. That's how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I can, as you guys have said, and as people are pointing out in chat, it is a kid's show and it's kind of designed for a younger audience. So I'm not going to go into too much analysis of it because it's a bit unfair. I will say though, I agree with Reaper's assessment that it's quite slow paced in that first episode. For example, the point where Wim discovers the crashed spaceship, right? He discovers the hatch in the forest. You could probably just have him dig it up right there and then and get inside. The other kids could have followed him there or whatever, and that would have got you to where you need to be plot wise, nice and quick. Simple and efficient. Instead, there's this really drawn out sequence where he gets caught, then he goes to school and gets put in detention, and then he his dad comes in and gives him a bollocking, and then he comes back later in the day, and that's when he runs into the Fern girl and whatever the other girl's called. And it's all just really time wasting stuff.
Wasn't that to set up like where they all come from and what the world's like, and that we realize
we
is more.
gain nothing
We kind of
for
got
them?
that already up until that point. We got a bit of world building, and it was enough to tell us, like, yeah, this is a peaceful but pretty boring planet, like where nothing much happens, and yeah, that's fine. Like, I get it, and they just want to, like, he wants to go off and have an adventure. That's enough. And I think, particularly if it is for a young audience, they're going to want things to get moving a bit quicker than that. They're not going to want 45 minutes before anything happens.
Yeah. Well, how
It
else
has
would
the-
you set up the dad getting known about this so that he would come to the forest and the girl come in there? If you just
You
rips it up
could
there.
easily enough have him, like the kids. I don't know. The kid sneaks off for another reason to like go meet with his friend or something, and his dad sees him leave, and he follows him, and that's when he finds the hatch, and like this, the ship takes off. The dad catches up just as it leaves. Then easy enough. You've accomplished the same thing, but you've taken like half as long.
But
This
they
is
gotta
where
drag it
I
out.
wonder the age group they're actually aiming for, because it does have the pacing of the 80s. Like, have you ever shown a young kid ET or something and they get so bloody bored because they've just watched Despicable Me, where, you know, in the first 5 seconds, they're all dancing and singing, telling jokes, and then you put on ET and they're like, what the hell's going on here for the first 20 minutes? That's sort of got that pacing. So I wonder, like, I was a bit confused watching what age group they're going for, because it is,
Every time we
it
say
seems
it's
a
for
lot
kids.
younger than I expected.
Every time we say it's for kids, I think of MauLer and other arguments I've heard him that just because it's for kids doesn't mean it can't be quality.
But also, like, Star Wars was for kids, so it's like, how young are they sort of aiming this? Because it seemed to be aimed a lot younger than I expected.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, because like I think from a plot consistency point of view, there's not even much to analyze at this point, because really not that much has happened. It's really just they found the thing, they've gone off on a wacky adventure, and like not much has progressed beyond that yet. But I think when it comes to like aiming any Star Wars product now at a target audience, like your target audience is probably still going to be like older people who have been around since the original trilogy.
Well, I suppose the angle might be that it's hoping to grab parents who love Star Wars of old, and they can show their kids this. I assume that's
Yeah.
That's a shrinking demographic.
I think so, because I mean, I'm not a kid, but I don't get the impression that like it's popular or cool amongst kids anymore, like to have any kind of Star Wars toys or games or anything. I just
not
don't
like
feel
it
like
used
the
to
younger
be.
generation's that invested in it.
Yeah.
I feel like
And so
John
many
Watts and
parents
Christopher
have
Ford
left.
made it for themselves, basically. That they, like I said, they got a little window and no one cared about it, and they dismissed it, and they just made this fun little thing that reminded them of all the movies they liked.
Yeah. No, it hits those 80s beats for sure. Like it's not for the TikTok generation where everything happens like super quick. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm as anal about breaking down the show, because it's just like, I don't know, it's like same feel as Solo. It's like, all right, whatever. It's like just another thing.
Did everyone
didn't want to-
immediately
thought
think
Solo
that
was
the
shit.
captain of the pirate ship was Jude Law
Yeah.
the second you saw him?
Well, because like his accent just came through
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
I think the mystery
so-
there is he a Force user? Is he faking that? And if he's a Force user, was he a Jedi, or was he an Inquisitor, or, you know?
We're talking about the prologue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I guessed further than that, because I was watching it with Fringy. We were both like, so he's going to get put in jail because this whole thing's going to go wrong. There's probably nothing in the vault or something like that because of the trailer. It kind of gives you away a lot of this. And then, yeah, he's going to, I assume, pretend to be a Jedi until that gets revealed, and he's just a scummy pirate, but it turns out he has a heart of gold. A lot of this...
How long is that? And how big of a reveal?
That's what I was going to say. Is I forget who said it here, but just like you can kind of see everything that's going to happen already with each of these characters. They're very, very simple archetypes. Like, you know, the kind of chubby elephant kid who's he's scared all the time, and he's probably going to come through and he's going to do something courageous by the time we hit episode 6 or something, and he'll say, you know what, that adventure was worthwhile even though I was scared. Like that's his journey already. We know it. It's just a matter of
I hope they all have that. I hope Wim steps up. I hope Fern has finally challenged, and that the shtick she pulls drops. I
was going to say, because I feel like the show's a little bit confused about who the main character is meant to be. Like, I feel like the script wants it to be Wim, but like the sort of directives from above say that it has to be Fern. And so there's this weird conflict where I feel like she's kind of not a supporting character, but like she's like the secondary lead. But like she kind of steps up at every occasion and takes charge of everything. Whereas like most of the narrative focus seems to be on him. And so I'm like, well, who's actually meant to be leading this story here?
I think it's him. I think it's him, and I think they'll probably end up having a crush on each other at the end of this or something like that. I don't know.
There's supposed to be a conflict of it's like his passion and desire, but she's a like I want control type and reckless and impulsive. So they're going to compete somewhat.
Typical tomboy of that age.
Compared to ideology, I was happy to have boy versus girl. Like acknowledgement, first of all, that there are only boys and girls, and then Neil is heteronormative. He had a crush on a girl, even if she was green and alien. But like, it's just a normal kid. The friend.
You assuming that Green's gender?
What?
You don't know what that Green's got.
I could tell.
How dare you?
And the thing is, Neil, when he's got a crush, like an interspecies relationship like that, I mean, is that not classed as like bestiality or something? Like, I don't even know how.
Bro, even when they get to the space station, they go, "Ooh, aliens!" Because they're only used to
don't ask these questions. Let the story.
It's just that it's horrible and disturbing when I think about it. And who's going to get with this weird blue elephant faced thing? Who still has a side
you should
part
see some of the expanded
reason.
universe.
When Jabba is interacting with his concubines, they're like, "Is this bestiality?" Like, no.
I had a stroke. We just got our stream demonetized.
When Mando was getting off one of the ships, there was a human with like a pig woman, and that was very disturbing.
Morian.
I like this.
I was just gonna say, man, but he was a kid, so I thought against it. And I was like, no.
I just, but when we were talking about like Fern there, God, like you sort of described her as a typical tomboy. I would just describe her as a typical female character written by Lucasfilm.
That too,
at this point. The moment I saw her and she's like riding one of those speeder bikes and she's a mechanic and like she's got this like devil may care, like I'm confident as fuck. Like she even like man spreads when she sits down, like she's totally like this, occupying as much space as possible. I just thought, yeah, it's another one of those.
Well,
Okay.
It just felt like
Sabine,
a guy's
Sabine
character
and Ahsoka.
given to a girl, not a tomboy. You know, like
Yeah, pretty much.
he's an
And it
example of Max out of Stranger Things. Like
No, I
she's
think it's a
guy-
tomboy. If this was any other project, we wouldn't have the same assumptions to it. I get it, Disney, it probably is all of that, but I think we're really losing the nuance between a girl boss and a girl who's bossy. And spoiler, girls will always be bossy, especially at that age. Just seemed like a bossy tomboy to me, but
What?
I could be turned out wrong.
I didn't understand any of that.
You know the difference between a girl boss and a girl who's bossy?
No, they're all horrible.
Correct.
Problem.
Well, I mean, like to give an example, right? The show tries to play on the whole like, oh, girls are dumb, boys are dumb. Like each sort of side has this kind of rivalry thing going on. But in every scenario, it always plays out that the girls are kind of proven right, or like they sort of get the upper hand. Like they dupe the boys into doing all the donkey work, like of digging up the hatch and stuff. You know, and the boys are like, oh, we're so much stronger than them. And like the girls are just sitting there like eating a snack, like watching them work their arses off. Like, yeah, look at those idiots over there. And it's just kind of that theme just kind of plays out throughout the whole first couple of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I knew it would, because like that's what Lucasfilm has to do, I suppose, with their characters. But man, it's just it sucks the fun out of it a little bit when you see
I
stuff
Boys
like that.
all get chased by the aliens, don't they? And the girl has to come to the rescue.
Well, even like when she tells him not to press any buttons in the cockpit, so the first thing he does is press a button, and like it's ultimately like
How does that one button do all that?
That button was
Wow.
amazing.
technology
Yeah.
in Star Wars
Two
is
buttons.
like the most user friendly technology that you'll ever see. Like
Well,
you
it
can
has
walk
to
up to a control panel and just punch it, and it'll do what you want.
Yeah, imagine
Somehow,
you
just
got
magically.
imagine you got people on your ass trying to shoot you, and you should be like, oh, let's get the fuck out of here, boom! They take off. It's got to be that easy, man.
I'm just
Literally-
waiting for someone to headbutt like a computer, and it'll just like access the data file that they
Well,
need.
what did your favorite character do, Badger? And then he like pull apart a bunch of things, and like miraculously the ship stopped or went faster. I can't remember.
Badger?
Which
Yeah,
part?
an acolyte.
Oh,
Him
you're
right
talking
next
about-
to you.
The pronoun
The gopher.
Basil. Oh my god, I hated that.
Basil.
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 Yeah.
What did I call him? Badger?
Badger.
You called that.
Whatever.
I was like, it wasn't my favorite.
This
Forgive
guy
me.
down here is
I
Badger.
got besmirched by that Basil though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before he pushed the button, didn't she literally start the ship up by hitting it several times?
She brought
Yes.
it out of rest mode or something just by hitting
Yeah.
it. Which
It's hard to
works.
sort of. It's always a fine line. Star Wars, like how sci-fi, you want to keep the line. At the start, when the ship pulled up and just started shooting tubes into the side of the other ship, I thought, I don't think that's going to work.
I'm fine with hitting stuff to try and get it to work after or before you've done some other work. Like the implication with Han and the Millennium Falcon, whenever we see him punch or whatever, it's like you assume he's pressed some button or moved some wire and that he's just trying to jank it into place. But when you only do that, it's just like, okay, fine.
and Han knew his ship, like it's probably happened a
Yeah,
thousand times.
I kind of don't get as well how like this ship that's supposedly derelict, like they press one button and it magically comes to life and then it takes off and then goes to hyperspace and stuff. And then eventually they stop and the droid comes to life and starts talking to them and they're like, right, we need to get home. And his response is like, well, we need to get like the most important systems like fixed and working again. And I was like, well, it already flies and it goes to hyperspace. Like, what else do you need?
The maps.
Seems like it works pretty well.
Well, to be fair, they can't go home, right?
They don't
That's
know.
the big.
Yeah, it's basically like what is their planet like hidden or something? It's like a
So
mythical
here-
treasure planet
here's-
for
Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah, here's what I'm thinking is that planet is probably like some massive treasure trove that, I don't know, the leader of the planet or whatever for however many years has kind of hidden the name of it so that no one finds out. And so no pirates and the Empire don't
I
come
thought it was
and
going
raid
to
it.
be a Republic experiment or something. because,
That
like,
I think it's a vault for security or for government, or much like in Knights of the Republic when you find about the Telosian, like the Promised Land, it turns out just to be a government vault that has the machine caretakers. There's a whole planet that's shielded behind the barrier that during the Sith Wars or something has people hidden. That's why all they care about is assessments, and the droids run everything, and the treasure is just that it's a protected Old Republic planet with the Old Republic credits. But that's what I assumed.
That's cool. Yeah.
So they're
It makes
pushing
me think
communism
and
onto the
wonder and
kids.
guess.
Yeah,
We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
The basic idea of the show, I think, is fine. Like, a bunch of kids like discover this ship and it takes them off on a magical adventure across the galaxy where they've got to look for treasure and they got space pirates and stuff. Like, it's all fine. It is just the Goonies in space. And the thing I'll say in favor of the show is that when they go to say the spaceport so that they can get repairs made to their ship and stuff, like it looks visually very interesting. Like you've got a real ensemble of like alien species. It feels like that real melting pot that you would expect from Star Wars. Like, and I contrast that with something like The Acolyte or Ahsoka, where it's just so fucking bland and boring and unimaginative. Like this felt like it had a bit of fun and creativity put into it.
Yeah.
I'll say that I don't know, Filoni and Favreau run projects all seem unified somewhat in their visual. Certainly these days slop, like they degraded over time visually. This one and Andor both feel like they're done by different people, which they are.
It seems like they were busy doing their thing, whatever's going on with Daisy and Grogu and all that stuff, and this was just left to its own devices. And I love when the kids got there, and like they're only used to seeing Orderlands or Thorians and humans, and so when they saw them, they're like, "Ooh, aliens!" You know, things like that.
You know what's cool?
Wizard.
While I was doing my the watch party for it, there was actually someone that worked on the show for VFX and worked with John Knoll and all that, and he was saying that they used a lot of the volume for this. I didn't even think so.
It's always been an incorporation thing.
But isn't that strange how this doesn't feel claustrophobic, but then the Kenobi show felt like it was literally just compact?
It felt very packed.
Comes down to direction, then I think.
Yeah.
Just like getting a bit of dynamic camera work and stuff, like getting that sense of scale. It can be done as long as you shoot it correctly.
As long as you know what
same with green screen, even technically rear screen projection. Like it's down to how the directors know how to use it, know how to look, know how to prep it.
So I get that the frustration is do this, but then add good story and characters. Like this production, this is sort of the Andor thing of people that didn't like that. It was like, yeah, that's great. I'm happy you have Andor. Can you do that level of quality, but characters we like. And
Yeah.
I get it.
I think, I think Badger's onto something as well with like the idea that certain projects can kind of fly under the radar at Lucasfilm, where it's like low priority, low stakes.
This is what happened with X-Men '97.
Yeah, like we're not gonna mess with the big overall picture of Star Wars or anything. This is just like its own little self-contained thing.
Very
And so
isolated,
they probably don't get too much oversight on that sort of thing then, and it allows them to just have a bit more creative freedom and do something that is a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe some of this setup is going to get a decent payoff later. Maybe like Fern will turn out to be more complicated than she seems as just like a generic girl boss. I mean, thanks, Reaper. I'm trying to build this show up a little bit. I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. Jesus.
Just one good thing. That's all.